Hello everyone, Reid from MLS Fantasy Boss here, and I am bringing to you what I have promised, and that is an updated Switcheroo video for the 2024 season. What I'm going to cover is the Keeperoo, the Switcheroo, and the Autoroo, the three roos that we often talk about on the MLS Fantasy Insider. Now, if you've been in the MLS Fantasy Boss Discord chat or listened to the program before, you've heard this mentioned. If you're new to the game, or if you're a player who's been around for a while but never quite understood, the Switcheroo and Keeperoo are some advanced strategies that a lot of MLS fantasy players use to get the most out of the automatic substitution system, which we tend to refer to as Autoroo, or just the basic fantasy substitution system. Now, this is an advanced tactic, 201 if you want to consider it in those sort of terms, that was actually popularized. I don't want to know if I want to say developed, but definitely popularized by the MLS Fantasy Boss community over the years and various iterations of the game. So today I have put together a team that I'll share with you very shortly. It is, I don't even know if it's a legal team with the way round one looks for the 2024 season, but I think I'm going to use it just to kind of help explain the three various flavors of the Autoroo system that we use. Okay, so first we're going to start by talking about the Keeperoo. And what you see here, as I have set up, I have Max Anchor in goal. He is a 4.0 scrub keeper. He's on a bye, and these are the ideal players that you want to have for any of the Auroos that you're setting up. Bye players are best because you know they are not going to play. But just know that as I'm going through this explanation, this will work with any player who plays later in the round, be that the same night or on a previous day. So the player on your field, you always want to be either a player guaranteed not to play or someone who's going to play after your bench player. In this case, it's Zach McMath. For round one, you could easily go with someone from Miami as well because this is a double game week. So it just makes sense that I'm going to have Zach McMath in this spot. Now, the reason I'm going with Zach McMath, as we scroll down, is you'll see that RSL plays that first game, and RSL also plays one of the last games on Saturday. That means, for the Keeperoo, I'll be able to preview all of Zach McMath's points before the game is over, which, if I have money left in my budget, means that I can either choose to say, I like Zach's points, I'm going to want those points, and at the end of the round, he will automatically substitute in and replace Max Anchor. If I don't want his points, say he gets some a red card, or he just gives up some PKs, something like that, and just has a horrible score, I may decide I don't want that. I'm going to want somebody else. By being able to preview his points, I have the ability to look at players who play after him, which in this case is anyone, FC Cincinnati, Nashville, LA Galaxy, or Toronto Red Bulls. Can't do Miami because of the double game week. But it gives me the ability, if I have the cap space, to take away that field player and then make a change for a player who has yet to play and add them into my lineup. This means that you'll get those points instead because you're going to have that auto substitution disabled. That's the Keeperoo. And as I said, you could easily do it with someone who plays later in the round. So looking at round one, you could start with Columbus Crew player in your goal, and then you could wait. That game's going to end by 4 o'clock-ish, and so you could go with any of the players coming up here, 7:30, 8:30, as your substitutes. Gets a lot more tricky if you're looking at these 7:30 games, which are going to end around 9:30, so that's going to lose basically everyone right here, be pushing hard against what happens in Portland and Colorado, but that's how the Keeperoo works. It lets you preview the points of the keeper on your bench to decide if you want them to come in as your starting keeper or not. With the DGW being for round one, this is ideal. So let's take that same logic that we just applied to the Keeperoo and move it to our field players. When we do this, this is the Switcheroo. It works with our defenders, our midfielders, and our forwards. Just depends on how you have your bench set up. In my case, I have Diego Gomez on the bench. And I have him here because he's playing both the first game of the round against RSL and the last game of the round against LA. I want to preview what he scores in that first game to decide if I want to keep him. If he gets a 0, then I just go someplace else. If he gets some good points and decide I want him to be in my field, then I'm going to have to make a change to this setup that I have because he's not going to automatically substitute in with the normal rules of the system. So that means I need a scrub player. Now I could bring in someone from my bench, but that still doesn't guarantee that this setup works. If I want it to guarantee to happen, I'm going to take out one of my field players and I'm going to replace them with a player who I know is not going to play. In this case, that's Vancouver because they're on a bye. Now with this setup, I'm guaranteed to have Diego Gomez substitute in at the end of the round to make sure that I get his points. This applies the same way with our midfield and our forwards. It just depends on how you set this up. It also applies with multiple players. So if I want both Diego Gomez and Barreal to come in, I can scrub another player and I can make sure that happens, or I can replace one of my forwards to ensure that there are 2 scrub players here. Now with this setup, we potentially set up the third scenario that I'm getting ready to talk about, and that's the Autoroo. All right, picking up right where we left off with the Autoroo, what we have set up on the field right now are 2 bye players who are not going to play in the field. And on my bench, I have 3 field players who are going to be playing in this round. This is an ideal setup for those of you who are in different time zones, have really busy schedules, or just aren't sure with how you're going to manage the Switcheroo system because you're new to it or any other time restraints that you may have. This utilizes the basic transfer system of the MLS fantasy game and will automatically take the 2 highest scoring players and substitute them in for your 2 players who are going to get 0s because they are on a bye week. It's the same as would happen for anyone, but we wanted to give it a fancy name to go along with Keeperoo and Switcheroo, so we just call it the Autoroo. But at the end of the day, it's just the basic fantasy automatic substitution system. All right, everyone, that's it. Those are the basics of the Keeperoo, the Switcheroo, and the Autoroo. I hope you learned a little bit more about this tactic that we like to use with MLS Fantasy. Hope you feel more comfortable about it, and it's just something for you to have fun. At the end of the day is what this video is for and what the whole project at MLS Fantasy Boss is for everyone to participate. If you have questions about the Switcheroo, feel free to hit me up on Twitter or head over to mlsfantasyboss.com/discord and join our Discord community and ask your questions right there in our main chat. We have all kinds of people who are friendly and eager to help other MLS Fantasy players just enjoy this game.